So this is the first video I've ever made. I don't want this to sound selfish, but it's mostly just for me to look back on as a baseline. When ultimately I begin to question why even bother. If I were to break down the reasons for this channel's existence in one word, I believe that word would be experimental. Okay, keep that word in the back of your mind. I got a fair bit I want to break down here, if you care for a bit of a listen. So why me of all people feel the need to suddenly project myself onto the internet? To be honest, I'm still asking myself that question. But I've worked out 3 primary reasons. The first being learning the process of storytelling. Second, get better at talking, vocalizing my thoughts. Third, document this extremely niche sport I'm now thoroughly obsessed with, mountain unicycling. Okay, let's get into it. So when I first set up this YouTube account and uploaded my first video, it wasn't exactly fully thought out, shall we say. Probably how I start everything, to be honest. Some say that's the hardest part though, getting started. So here I am. I've started. I made up a channel name, and I really didn't want to overthink it too much at first. I just named it after my dogs, Koda and Eddy. And to get started, I started small. I uploaded a few YouTube shorts. So here I am at my dining room table, sipping on my pickle juice. Just trying to make something happen. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was just watching YouTube the other day and someone told me I should probably get a real microphone to be doing this. I apologize if this sounds terrible, it's my first try. Before we take this story any further, let's go back a ways. I have absolutely zero experience with online media. Other than Strava, I basically have no current online public footprint. So here I am starting at absolutely zero. I'm sure you can tell. And that leads me right back to my first 3 goals that I'll be trying to document and improve upon. Those being learn storytelling, get better at talking, and go ride unicycles in weird places. The first point really doesn't need too much explaining. Telling an interesting story is something most people would like to get better at, me included. But that leads straight into the second point I made. I've often struggled articulating my thoughts. I've got all sorts of weird ideas rattling around in my head, and I just can't seem to spit them out most of the time in an intelligent manner. Learning how to take my thoughts and ideas and present them is not going to be easy or fast process for me. I wouldn't blame you one bit if watching me blunder around isn't particularly interesting. Third point, unicycling is a whole lot of fun, and I'd sure like to show you some of the cool spots I go with it. Documenting both the successes and failures, documenting both successes and failures along the way. How am I going to document and present all that? Well, stick around, watch me try to figure it out. But beyond these 3 points is where the fun begins. I don't want this to seem like a chore. I want to enjoy this process. But like everything, there's fun bits and there's not so fun bits. I also don't want this to be entirely about myself. I would like to engage with you, the viewer. We live in an increasingly online society, but the weird part about this online world is the majority of the people are spectators, consumers, whatever you want to call them. And that's what this experiment is for me, shifting from a spectator to producer, or creator, or whatever YouTubers are calling themselves these days. I don't know how I feel about getting lumped in with all this, but you don't get to choose your stereotypes, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a weird transition for me. Is this decision sustainable, or even the best use of my time? I don't have the answers. But one thing I have learned in my 27 years of floating around in this chunk of magma in space is sometimes you just gotta try something. Something difficult, something new. There's always something to try. So here I am, giving it the old college try, and it isn't going to be pretty for the first bit. And if you'd like to engage or just spectate, I'm happy to have you here. If you've done this journey before and have tips or tricks, I sure would love to hear them. My equipment is limited and my knowledge is basically non-existent. So to sum all this up, this video is essentially a reference for future Dan. It's something to look back at. I can look back and remember my very first 3 goals. Those being learn to tell an engaging story, adequately vocalize my thoughts and opinions, and document my progress in mountain unicycling, or wherever this could take me if I stick to it. I suppose I got a bit rambly there toward the end, and if you listened through the whole thing, I sure do appreciate it. And if you got a video idea, I want to hear it. That's really all I got today. I hope you enjoyed this poorly organized collection of unicycle clips, and remember, chin up, just keep pedaling.